Hey, you, ever think about what gives you that feeling of being really sharp mentally? Or, having the physical energy to just power through your day?
Yeah, that feeling of being really on top of your game.
Exactly. What is specific nutrients could actually help support that?
hmm
Today, we're doing a deep dive into one group that's, well, pretty crucial: omega-3 fatty acids.
That's right. We've been digging into the science, looking at research papers to really get a handle on how these essential fats impact your overall well-being.
Hmm.
And our focus today is really on how getting enough omega-3s, these sort of fundamental building blocks, can support both your physical health and maybe even more interestingly for many, your brain function.
Yeah, the brain side is fascinating. And as we explore this, we'll also touch on products like, say, nutrifii Omega Q. It's a good example of how these omega-3s can be combined with other things, like CoQ10 to support daily health.
A practical application, yeah.
Okay, so first things first, let's break it down. What exactly are these omega-3 fatty acids we keep hearing about?
Well, simply put, they're a type of healthy fat. Polyunsaturated fatty acids is the technical term. Think of fats with like multiple bends in their structure.
Right.
And the sources we looked at, like Wikipedia, highlight three main types that are really important for humans. ALA, that's alpha-linolenic acid.
Right.
EPA, which is eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid.
Whoa, okay, those names are still a mouthful. Let's take that ALA example. It was described as an OA3 fatty acid, 18 carbons, 3 double bonds. What does that actually mean for us, like the takeaway?
Okay, yeah, let's simplify. Think of the 18 as the length, like a chain with 18 links, carbon atoms. The 3 double bonds are like special connection points, giving it a unique shape.
Kinks in the chain, maybe?
Sort of, yeah. And the O3 bit just tells you where the first special connection point is on that chain. But what's really important is that these double bonds give omega-3s their unique properties.
Especially flexibility.
Flexibility in a fat molecule.
Yeah.
That's interesting. The article also mentioned something about cis configuration and methylene bridges. Is that important? It is definitely at the molecular level. The cis configuration is about the shape around those connection points. It contributes to that kink you mentioned.
Ah, okay.
And the methylene bridges are just the links between the double bonds. But yeah, this whole structure makes omega-3s really flexible, which is key for how they fit into our cell membranes and affect how fluid those membranes are. That's super important for cells talking to each other.
Gotcha. And it also said they can be easily damaged at, was it bicellulic sites? What does that mean practically?
Basically, those specific spots are a bit more vulnerable. Think damage from free radicals, that sort of thing. It means we need to be careful about how we store omega-3 rich foods or supplements to make sure they stay effective. Oxidation is the enemy here.
Right, keep them fresh. Okay, so they have this special flexible structure.
Mm-hmm.
But why essential? Our bodies make lots of stuff, don't they?
That's a really key point. They're essential because we humans lack the right tool, an enzyme called a desaturase, to efficiently put those double bonds in that specific omega-3 spot. So we literally can't make enough ourselves.
Exactly. We absolutely have to get them from what we eat. And here's a really cool fact. One of them, DHA, is found in incredibly high concentrations in the human brain.
Wow.
Yeah, it really highlights how vital it is for, thinking, memory, cognitive function overall.
So sharp minds, healthy bodies need to eat these fats. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into those health benefits. What can we realistically expect?
Well, the range is pretty broad, but let's start with the heart. The FDA over in the U.S. actually has what they call a qualified health claim for EPA and DHA.
Qualified, what does that mean?
It means they're saying the research is supportive but not conclusive. So basically, studies suggest that eating EPA and DHA may reduce the risk of coronary heart disease, but, more research is needed to be absolutely definitive. Still promising, though.
Okay, supportive, but not totally proven yet for heart disease risk. Got it.
Right.
What about the brain and eyes? You hear omega-3s linked there all the time. Absolutely, and that's heavily tied to DHA again. Like we said, it's a major structural fat in the brain, the most abundant omega-3 there.
Right.
It's critical for keeping our brain cell membranes healthy and fluid. Think of it like making sure the wiring in your brain is flexible and efficient for sending signals, especially in the gray matter, which is where a lot of the processing happens.
So they're literally part of the structure, and they help the communication flow. That's huge. What about inflammation? That seems to be a buzzword everywhere.
It is, and omega-3s play a really interesting role. Our bodies can convert them into signaling molecules, eicosanoids and docosanoids.
Okay.
And the key thing is These signals derived from omega-3s tend to have different effects, often less inflammatory, compared to similar signals made from omega-6 fats. They help kind of modulate or balance our inflammatory response.
So it's not just about getting omega-3s, but also about the balance with omega-6s. Is that it?
Precisely. That's a critical point. Omega-3s and omega-6s basically compete for the same machinery, the same enzymes, to get converted into those signals. Ah, okay. Competition.
Yeah. And the problem is, typical modern Western diets are often way, way higher in omega-6s than omega-3s. The ratio can be like 10 to 1, even up to 30 to 1 sometimes.
30 to 1. Wow, that seems really skewed.
It is. And that imbalance is thought to potentially contribute to, a more pro-inflammatory state in the body. So boosting omega-3 intake can help nudge that ratio back towards a healthier balance.
Right. Try and even things out a bit. That makes sense. And I know omega-3s, especially DHA, are often recommended during pregnancy. Why is that?
Yeah, that's directly linked to the baby's development. In Canada, for instance, the Food Inspection Agency actually allows a claim that DHA supports the normal physical development of the brain, eyes, and nerves, particularly for kids under 2.
Okay, so foundational for development.
Definitely. And the European Commission has similar recommendations, suggesting pregnant and breastfeeding women aim for at least 200 milligrams of DHA daily, plus eating seafood maybe once or twice a week. It really underscores how critical these fats are when everything is growing and forming. It really does. Essential right from the start. Okay, so we know why we need them, the benefits. Let's talk sources.
Yeah.
Where do we actually get these omega-3s?
Well, the most direct and widely available sources of EPA and DHA are definitely oily fish. We're talking salmon, mackerel, herring, anchovies, sardines.
The usual suspects.
Exactly. These guys naturally pack in more omega-3s compared to omega-6s. The amounts vary, depending on the fish, where it lived, but a standard 3-ounce serving can give you well over a gram, sometimes close to 2 grams or even more.
So adding more fish like that seems like a good strategy. But I heard the fish don't actually make the omega-3s themselves.
That's absolutely right. Fish get their omega-3s from their diet mainly by eating algae and plankton. Yeah, these tiny marine organisms are the original producers of EPA and DHA in the food chain. So ultimately, it often starts with algae.
That's fascinating. What about farmed fish, then? Does their feed matter?
Oh, hugely, yes. For farmed fish to have good levels of EPA and DHA, similar to wild ones, their feed has to be supplemented with omega-3s, usually fish oil.
Right.
Actually, a big chunk of the world's fish oil supply goes into fish feed. And there's a lot of research looking into alternatives, too, like using special canola oil or even algal oil directly in the feed, partly for sustainability reasons.
Interesting. So the whole food system is involved. Now, what if you're not a big fish eater? Are there other options? Flaxseed comes up a lot.
Yes. Flaxseed and its oil are really significant plant sources of ALA. That's the precursor one, remember?
The one our bodies have to convert.
Exactly. Flax oil can be super high in ALA, like 55%. And our bodies can convert ALA into EPA and then into DHA, but the process isn't very efficient.
How inefficient are we talking?
Generally pretty low. Often less than 5% conversion, and it can vary quite a bit from person to person. Women tend to be slightly better at it than men, interestingly. So flax is great, it's healthy, but it might not be enough on its own if you're really aiming for high EPA and DHA levels.
Okay, so helpful, but maybe not the whole solution for EPA DHA. What about those algae supplements you see now?
Ah, yes. Those are becoming much more common, and they're a fantastic option. They basically go straight to the source, the marine algae that naturally produce EPA and DHA.
Cutting out the middle fish.
Exactly. Specific types of microalgae, like Cryptocodinium or Schizochytrium, are really rich in DHA. Others, like certain brown algae or Nanochloropsis, are good sources of EPA. These can be grown commercially for supplements.
So that's a great direct source, especially for vegetarians or vegans.
Definitely. A very important option for them.
What about things like omega-3 enriched eggs?
Yeah, those come from hens-fed diets with marine oils. The omega-3s get into the eggs. The levels can vary, though, and some people find they have a slightly fishy taste. It's another way to get some, but maybe not the most concentrated source.
Okay. And grass-fed meat and milk, do they fit in?
They do contribute, yes. Animals grazing on grass and other greens naturally consume and store some omega-3s. Compared to grain-fed animals, grass-fed products tend to have a better omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. It all adds up.
And one more krill oil. That seems popular, too.
Krill oil is another marine source. It provides EPA and DHA, and some research suggests it might be absorbed a bit differently, perhaps more readily because of its structure. Plus, it naturally contains astaxanthin, an antioxidant.
Oh, interesting. A bonus antioxidant?
Yeah. But there are sustainability questions sometimes raised about krill harvesting, so that's something to be aware of.
Right. Always factors to consider.
Yeah.
Okay, so loads of ways to potentially get omega-3s. Now, earlier we mentioned nutrifii omega Q, which has both omega-3s and CoQ10. Our first source didn't really dive into CoQ10, but the second one we looked at did, especially regarding energy. How might these two work together?
That's a really good connection to make. That second source emphasized how our cells make energy, right? Mainly in the mitochondria, converting food into ATP, the cell's fuel. And it highlighted CoQ10's role in that process. It's a key player in the electron transport chain, which is central to ATP production. And it also mentioned magnesium being vital, because ATP needs magnesium to be biologically active.
Right, the MgATP complex. So magnesium unlocks the energy, kinda.
In a way, yeah. Now, omega-3s aren't directly making ATP like CoQ10 is, but think back to their role in cell membranes, especially DHA in the brain.
Keeping them flexible and healthy.
Exactly. Healthy fluid membranes are essential for neurons to fire efficiently, for signals to travel quickly. If the structure is optimal, the brain can use energy more effectively for all its tasks. Poor membrane health could mean sluggish communication, inefficient energy use.
That makes perfect sense. Healthy hardware for efficient software, so to speak.
Oh.
The second source also talked about oxidative stress. How do omega-3s fit in there?
Well, high-energy organs like the brain and muscles use a lot of oxygen, which naturally produces free radicals, leading to oxidative stress.
A byproduct of being active.
Pretty much. Our first source mentioned omega-3s can have antioxidant effects themselves, or they can influence those inflammatory pathways we talked about. By helping manage inflammation, they can indirectly protect cells, including brain cells, from some of the damage caused by oxidative stress. This helps maintain healthy energy production and function long-term.
And CoQ10 is also known as an antioxidant, right?
Yeah.
So they might work together there too.
Potentially, yes. CoQ10 is definitely an important antioxidant within the mitochondria. So you have omega-3s supporting membrane health and managing inflammation systemically, and CoQ10 working directly in energy production and providing antioxidant defense right where it's needed most.
And didn't the second source also link magnesium to brain function again? Something about nerve signaling?
It did, yeah. Magnesium plays a role in nerve transmission and might help prevent overexcitation of neurons, which itself can contribute to oxidative stress. It just shows how multiple nutrients really synergize to support brain health and energy.
Okay, so putting it all together, we've got omega-3s crucial for structure, especially brain cell membranes, and helping with inflammation. Then CoQ10 directly involved in making cellular energy and acting as an antioxidant. Added things like magnesium. It paints a picture of teamwork for energy and brain power.
Exactly. It's about supporting the body at multiple levels, the structure, the energy production, the signaling, the protective mechanisms. It's all interconnected.
Right. So let's wrap this up. What are the absolute key takeaways you want people listening to remember about omega-3s?
Okay, number one, getting enough omega-3s daily is really important for your overall health. Think heart, brain, and inflammation balance.
It's essential fats. Got to get them.
Right. Number two, know your sources. Oily fish are great for EPA and DHA. Flax gives you ALA, but conversion is tricky. Algae supplements are a fantastic direct source, especially if you don't eat fish.
Options for everyone.
Definitely. And number three, think about synergy. Combining omega-3s with other supportive nutrients like the CoQ10 in nutrifii omega Q can offer a more comprehensive approach to supporting that energy and brain function we've been talking about.
Makes sense. And just a reminder, if you are interested in learning more specifically about nutrifii omega Q or PartnerCo, you can check out the info on the page here or look below the video for details.
Yeah, the information's there if you want to dig deeper into that specific product. It's really about arming yourself with the knowledge to make good choices.
Absolutely. So here's something to think about as we finish. How mindful are you really about getting these kinds of essential nutrients like omega-3s into your daily routine? Just understanding why they matter, the science behind them, can be really empowering. It helps you make those choices that support how you feel and function every single day. Thanks for diving deep with us today.